the early Sunday games, the undefeated Steelers, who we probably should have had in our contest this past week, visiting the Baltimore Ravens. To me, this game is massive. You know why? Right now, the Ravens opened at 5.5. They are currently 3.5. Bets coming in on the Steelers, money coming in on the Steelers. You and I both bet on the Steelers to win the AFC North because of advice that you gave. I have the Steelers 41 to win the Super Bowl. There's a lot on the line in this game. Steelers win this game, and they've got a 2-game lead in the division, and that's looking very good for our AFC North bet.
Yeah, gotta love it for that value. And we've now hit a point where I think this is a letdown spot for the Steelers. They played just an insane game last week, and it was an incredible win. They got the lead, and then the Titans kept coming back, but the Steelers did enough to get that win. And now the public's all over them. Like you just said, this number's down to 3.5, and the smart side is just the Ravens off a bye in a divisional game. You're hoping this number goes down to 3, but you really can't take the Steelers here. It's just back-to-back road games now in a divisional game. It's tough for me to take the Steelers here. It feels like not a letdown spot for them, but it just feels like one of these games that the Ravens they're gonna win by a touchdown. So I would take the Ravens here, but we don't have to put it in because this is such a not a coin flip game, but we've seen with the Ravens in these big time games, Lamar has a letdown. I mean, that Chiefs game on prime time, he really let down in that spot. So in a big game like this, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take the Ravens in our competition, but I do like them betting style.
I like it. Like, I wouldn't be averse to putting him in the competition if we got the number at 3.
You don't hate that?
No,
All right,
I
I'll put
agree
that
with
on the
everything.
side.
I agree with everything you just said. Like, this is a letdown spot. And the Steelers, by the way, look, they got up big against the Titans. But if we had bet that, and I will admit that, like, because we didn't bet that, I was actually rooting for the Titans to come back and win that game, just because I didn't want to feel even worse about not having bet it.
Yeah.
But they let the Titans back in that game. They let the Eagles back in the game. They have consistently sort of let teams stay close. They're undefeated, and they went into a game against another undefeated team in the Titans. But they were both like teams that were lucky to get there. I think the Steelers are a little bit better than the Titans, but I think the Ravens are probably better than the Steelers. And if this number gets even lower, we got to take that bet.
Yeah, and especially like you were just saying, all these teams with these close games with the Steelers, like they almost let Denver's backup QB come in and beat them at home.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, they've had a lot of these games where they've pulled out and they've won. And I'm with you. I just feel like they're due for a letdown and a loss here.
All right. The Chiefs right now opened at 21 over the Jets, 21-point favorites. It's been bet down to 19.5, 66% of the money coming in on the Jets right now. It's absurd. It's totally absurd. We're not going to bet this game because I refuse to need the Jets in any way. I don't care what the value is.
What a magical gift the Jets have been this year. They really have. Just every week you can tease the team against them. You can put their money line against them. We're just riding them in Survivor Pool. It's just we're all so blessed that Adam Gase, they're just keeping them to get to tank for Trevor. So it's just a wonderful year of these Jets. And everything you said is true. I mean, this is a pro line. Pros are going to take this big number, but I'm happy to be on the other side. I'll take whatever the Chiefs close at. They're at 19.5. I'm good with it. Maybe I'll get backdoor here on the Jets, and like I'll live with that. But it's impossible not to take the Chiefs here. I can just see the Chiefs getting points. Like the Bills, they just kicked field goals last week. I can't compare the Bills' offense to the Chiefs' offense. The Chiefs are going to get in the red zone. They're going to score. And what we've seen from the Jets offense is they can't score. I think they had 4 total yards in the second half, something crazy like that in that game. So I'm done with the Jets. I bet them last week in the spread when Sam Darnold got put back in at like plus 11, plus 10.5, and I'm good now for the year. I don't care about taking the Jets again. I'm gonna ride the Chiefs here in picks and my like betting wise.
You will bet the Chiefs. You will lay 20 points in this game.
Yeah, and I'm sure it could bite me in the ass, but like the percentages saying that this line should be 23.5. So, like, I think I'm getting a good number here. So I'm happy to take the Chiefs.
All right, reminder, you mentioned Survivor. We took the Bills last week in our Survivor pool.
Yeah.
And so we will have to come up with a Survivor pool pick.
Well, we don't have to. We
Um,
can do. It's the easiest thing ever. The Chiefs. I mean, if you don't take the Chiefs
all right,
this week, you're
dude,
terrible at Survivor.
dude, I'm laying the suspense track. That's it. I was going to let people know at the end of the show, we're going to have to announce our Survivor pool pick, and it was going to be the Chiefs.
They should still listen just to hear the giveaway.
That's true. We're giving
That's all that
away,
matters.
cash. That's true. We got to give away cash for the winner. All right, so we're gonna like the Chiefs in Survivor. We're gonna like the Chiefs. We're not gonna put a 20
No
point
way we
favorite
put
in.
them in the contest. No.
Here's it. This next game is so interesting because the Bengals are hosting the Titans. This game opened at 3.5, and it's been bet up to 6. Not just all the bets are coming in on the Titans, but a crap load of money is coming in on the Titans. Still early in the week. It's Tuesday afternoon. But I would be dissuaded from betting this game and putting this in the contest because we're not getting the best of the number. Like, it's just too big of a delta. It's gone through 4, which really is like a key number these days. And so I don't want anything to do with this game right now.
Yeah, I'm so bad with the Bengals, man. Every week Joe Burrow has been burning me. I'm either taking him and he lets down, or he plays good, I'm going against him. So this is one of those where I'm probably end up going to take the Titans just because their offense, I think they could not outscore this team, but they're going to put up enough points where I wouldn't be worried about the back door. But that's the exact reason we wouldn't put the Titans in our pick pool, because it's at the point now where the Titans defense, I can never trust them to get a stop. So I can already see it now. They're up 13. Joe Burrow comes down the field, scores, somehow goes for 2, and they don't cover the 6. So I'm happy to stay away from this one, the competition. I don't like this game at all.
Joe Burrow is becoming a backdoor killer. He really is. Just like, he's not someone I want to have the ball if I'm betting against him at the end of the game. Not going to win your game right now, but certainly going to lose your bets.
It's starting to remind me. We'll see what's the deal with Tua, but we've been due for an Eli, Rivers, Roethlisberger draft of just 3 really good quarterbacks you'd want on your team. And it's starting to feel like this might be that draft class where Joe, he's really shown me this kid is tough as hell and he's good. Like, some of his passes are just really sharp. And we've seen with Herbert over in California where he's really carrying San Diego. So I'm really have high hopes for Tua. Hopefully he plays well with Miami, because I love all these rookies this year so far.
That is a professional transition, Simon Hunter, because the next game we're talking about, Los Angeles Rams on the road in Miami, for 3.5. Let's say they're 3.5 point favorites right now, which is where it opened, against Tua for the first time. What a charming, lovely moment that was a couple of weeks ago, where someone caught that image of him sitting on the spot on the field where he took his first snap to his parents, and like how Ryan Fitzpatrick has handled this and the way he was cheering people on. I know that he's bummed. He's getting pulled when he's having a top 10 season and playing really well, and the team is in playoff contention, but I don't mind the move, and I'm super excited to see what Tua can do.
Yeah, it's the 100% the right move, though. We all feel bad for Fitz, and we love the guy. He's fun. He takes hits. He never leaves games, and he's just tough as hell. But Tua, his upside is just so high that they've kind of hit a point where they're looking at their team. They're saying, maybe we could win this division. And I'm agreeing with them. I think Tua gives them the best chance of doing that, because if he is what they think he is going to be, like what they've seen in practice, this kid's going to be the real deal in the NFL. I mean, his pass in Alabama was incredible. So I'm coming to a game here where you're asking me to take a rookie at home on his first start after a bye. I don't love it. I just feel like it's too much time to think about this moment, and it worries me a little bit where he might just let down here. And I know the Rams just had a huge win in prime time, and these are usually the teams I like fading, especially the fact they're traveling across country to Florida. But it makes me just nervous where it's to his first start and he's had a lot of time to think about it. And he might overdo it and not just play like free and be overthinking every situation. So I wouldn't put this one in. I'm probably going to end up taking the Rams. But I don't want to go against this Dolphins team in our competition.
I don't either. Like, forget about Tua for a second. I love Brian Flores as a coach. He always has them ready to play. They play so freaking hard. And with 2 weeks rest, coming off a bye against a short week for the Rams, traveling across country, like this Rams team, they're not world beaters. Like
No.
they beat up on a bad Bears team. That, like, if you think about the Bears,
Chad.
guy,
Come on. They're not a bad team. That was just a trap spot. We saw it coming last week. We talked about it last week. That was just a bad spot.
No, they're just a bad team. Is there anybody on that team, anybody in any position of skill on that team that frightens you? Is Nick Foles a guy like right now? Here's the guys who like might be of value in a tradable market. Allen Robinson and Allen Robinson. You're not going to trade. You don't care about Anthony Miller. I'm talking about offense. You don't care about Nick Foles. You don't care about David Montgomery, who like scatters around instead of running north and south. And by the way, like last night on Monday Night Football, they were talking about this Bears defense like they were so great. All they did was rack up penalties. Like this team last night was the team that I always worried they would be, and that from a statistical perspective, they might have shown they really are throughout the year, only they've gotten lucky in some spots. So, yeah, it was a bad spot for the Bears, but the Rams also beat up on a bad team.
Chad's taking this well. Chad, who was the quarterback when you guys went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago?
You mean when we went to the Super Bowl 14 years ago?
Yeah, who was that quarterback?
Rex Grossman.
Okay, say that one more time.
Listen. Don't try to make me prove my point. Here's my bigger point about that Super Bowl. Rex Grossman wasn't the problem in that game. The problem was Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator, decided the better bet was to put the ball in Rex Grossman's hands instead of giving the ball to Thomas Jones, who had had an incredible year. And so the Bears ended up losing because they didn't use their best offensive weapons in a game in which there was a freaking downpour. And the only thing anyone remembers is that Peyton Manning used to practice with wet balls, and that makes him a genius. And Prince had the greatest halftime show in the history of the Super Bowl.
Chad, you're a habitual line stepper, my friend. But yeah, I'm such a Bears fan this year. I just love their defense so much. Everything you said is true, but I just have faith that Nagy and Nick Foles, they're two veteran guys. They'll make adjustments because the offense he's running is as if you guys have a world-class offensive line. You don't have that. You have a banged up, not that good offensive line. So once they figure out these quick passes and just getting the ball in Nick's hands, I'm telling you, I still got high hopes for this Bears team. So unlike you, I haven't given up yet.
Well, we do have them to win the NFC North, and we do have them to win the Super Bowl. So, we still got some money there. We still got some money in play. All right. So we're going to skip on the Rams and the Dolphins. By the way, At this point, like, we got one game that we might like, which is the Ravens if they get to -3. We're not finding a lot of takers here. Let's talk about the Colts. They are 3-point favorites on the road at Detroit, getting all the money and majority of the bets.
Oh, man, I'm probably going to fall into this trap then because I love the Colts. I think this is such a great position for the Colts. They're getting healthy off a bye. Two straight road wins for the Lions. And that last one was an epic fashion. That's like the high of highs. This is just great where the Colts – I'm not worried about Philip Rivers here because I'm not going to be relying on him. I'm going to be relying on the Colts defense. And I think they match up really well with Detroit. And the fact that the Colts are going to be healthy, they needed time for the D-line linebacking core to get right with the Colts. So the Lions, you can run on them. Colts, they love to run the ball. I'm with the public here. I'm taking the Colts.
You know what? You and me both, brother. We both love the Colts for all the reasons you just said. The Colts defense was the best defense in the NFL before they went into the bye and before they started getting really injured, right? So now they've had this 2 weeks to get better. The Lions, like, they've always been a cardiac team, but it's one thing to be a cardiac team when you're playing against the Falcons. It's one thing to go on the road and blow out the Jaguars. It's another thing to host a really good team and also at home, but also this is a coaching matchup. And at the end of the day, Frank Reich is just a much better coach than Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is out of his league when it comes to coaching. And I know we don't give value to coaches from a point spread perspective, but I am behind Frank Reich in this game 100%.
Yeah, let's put it in.
Boom! We got the Indianapolis Colts as 3-point favorites on the road at the Lions. You know what? I don't care what happens over the course of the week. I don't care how much more money comes in. I don't care how many syndicates come in.
Really? It's locked in.
Dude, we are locking it on the Colts.
All right.
Should we make it a bet your balls? Is this a bet your balls?
No, because I like fading the public on those. We're 3-0. I want to keep it winning.
All right. We need to bet our balls. We need to find a hornet's nest. I don't think we're walking into a hornet's nest with the Patriots and the Bills right now. Patriots 4-point dogs on the road in Buffalo. Game open to 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done. I'm done backing the Patriots. I feel like a soldier that just fought on the front line and just walked back home. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done fighting for this team. Where I get what people are saying, that was a bad matchup with San Fran because the 49ers O-line and D-line is their strengths, and that's what the biggest weakness is right now for New England. But from what I saw with Cam, he's throwing balls into the turf, and he's just not – he doesn't seem right. He seems hurt, or maybe he's still having effects from COVID. Who really knows? But I can't back him again. I know the Bills have been bad. Josh Allen's was not scoring touchdowns against the Jets, and he made us sweat that whole survivor pool because he couldn't turn these great drives into touchdowns, which is – I mean, something's not right with the Bills. So I wouldn't put this in, but I'm going to be betting the Bills this week. I'm not backing the Patriots until they get right consistently for a couple weeks in a row.
Hot take: Cam Newton's career in the NFL as a regular QB1 is over.
I think you're right, and I think it's funny where all of us, like a couple weeks in, we're like, oh my God, Bill does it again. He gets Cam for nothing. All these teams like Cam walk. I mean, you Bear fans were killing yourselves because you're like, we paid Nick Foles a ton of money to come here, and we could have Cam for $1 million. But I think we're just seeing the wear and tear of a running quarterback. He's just beat up. So I'm with you. I don't see him being a starter next year for any teams.
The Raiders are visiting the Cleveland Browns. 2.5-point favorites right now. The Browns are at home. Money and bets have all come in on the Raiders. It seems interesting to me that the Raiders, who didn't play very well this past week, getting the money and the bets, are we thinking like wise guys are playing against public perception here?
Maybe. I think it's just the public in general. Most people just lost money in the Browns. Why are they going to come the next day and go, yeah, I'm going to double down on the Browns this week just because I lost that hook last week with the Browns? Most of us are sitting here thinking ourselves the Browns aren't good. Their defense can't stop anybody. And the Raiders, that was just insane. The NFL made them play that game. Like I was so happy when I woke up Sunday morning, that game was still on. I was like, we can get this in our competition. And it's still under a touchdown. Like this, their whole offensive line left in the middle of the week and didn't come back to the facility until like Saturday or Sunday. It's just crazy. The NFL was like, yeah, we'll push all these other games to Tuesday, but instead we're going to move this game from prime time to 4:00 and give them less time to be prepared. So I can't fault the Sharps or the public for coming in on the Raiders here. Like, as someone that has backed the Browns and lost, they can't trust their defense. But I'm going to take the Browns here again at home against the Raiders team that they just seem like something's missing with them, where like they're getting healthy, they're getting guys back, they put good drives together, but they don't finish games. And I still think that the way the Browns are, they should be able to win this game at home. The way they design their offense, just to run the ball, not asking Baker to do too much. This should be an easy win for the Raiders again. The Browns against a Raiders team that really can't stop the run.
Yeah, but you got to hope they actually do that. Like, that's why we liked the Browns so much against Cincinnati, is because they're going to keep the ball out of Baker's hands. They're going to give it to Kareem Hunt. They're going to run through a Swiss cheese Bengals defense, and everything's going to be glorious. And we're going to win that game by 22 points. And instead, like, they made bad calls in the beginning. They let Baker throw the ball downfield, which led to turnovers. And then their defense, as you noted, played terribly. So can we trust Kevin Stefanski to make the right calls against a defense that is as tattered as the Raiders is?
I feel like everything you just said, like I don't want to put the Browns in. I can't go through it again with them.
I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it. But here's the problem. We're like getting down to the end and we got one freaking game that we like. All right. we got the Vikings visiting the Packers. The Packers are touchdown favorites. Still very early. Too early to put any credence behind any of the percentages, with money and bets both being on the Packers right now. Are we walking into a hornet's nest? Are we betting our balls here? What are we going to do?
God. And it's brutal because I had this number at 7. What side do you like, Chad, just looking at this?
I probably like the Vikings at +7.
Right. This is such a pro play. It's like we have to take the Vikings here, and I hate it. I hate it because the Green Bay, they're just good. All around, they're just solid. They got good defense. They got a great offense.
Really well. I guess the reason I got to do it is because the number is going to move up because of all the public action, or at least the number probably stay at 7, but the public will be all in on the Vikings. I mean, on the Packers. Yeah. And the Vikings, like, they're coming off a bye. Like, that's, and I do think that Mike Zimmer is a good coach. And my feeling on the Vikings has been that they were going to need to get through some time for their defense to figure it out because they lost so many players. And this is something that, like, on the Action Network podcast, Stuckey has been saying all year. Like, this defense will need to figure out who they are. And I'm going to bank on the fact that they're coming out of a bye and have had that opportunity.
Yeah. The biggest thing here is this is the Vikings season, pretty much. Either you win this game, you get back in your divisional race, or you'll lose and the season's over. They're already trading out some of their defense for draft picks, and it is one of those where it's just a back against the wall for the Vikings. I like them to keep it close. So I'm going to take the Vikings here, but like I said, do we want to put this in? Because this would honestly be like bet your balls pick of the week if we really wanted to take the Vikings. But I like a different game better for that one.
All right. Well, I'll put a question mark here because I don't want to, steal your thunder.